George, I understand you've interviewed over 400 business leaders.
Yes, on my radio show, Business in Motion, I've talked to over 400 business leaders from different fields, entrepreneurs, CEOs, and business authors. From them, I've learned a lot.
You've learned a lot, that's easy to say, but has this been contradictory advice? Have these people told you different things, like be ready for any opportunity that comes along, or prepare for specific opportunities?
There's no question that some of the advice conflicted. Some also were not even happy in what they were doing. Not all entrepreneurs are entrepreneurs because they want to be, but most of them, 85% of them, were happy with what they're doing. Where I found the biggest conflict is in the ones who don't give themselves enough time to relax and enjoy life. Some of them push themselves too much, too long.
So happiness is necessary, or happiness is a byproduct of being successful?
Happiness should be the goal. Being successful does not necessarily lead to being happy. However, a successful entrepreneur, in my mind, is one that not only has built a business and is financially successful, but also has something that they can do that they feel good about that's not part of the business, some way of refreshing themselves. It could be their family, for many it is their family, it could be other pursuits or hobbies. And I don't believe, and here's one thing that I notice, I do not believe that successful people are balanced. They need to have different pursuits, but they're not balanced, because in order to be successful, by definition, they need to pursue, like a fiend, their goal. They're not balanced people.
Like a fiend. That's amusingly expressed. Could you express it like this, that a successful person has to balance three competing interests: his business, his professional life, and his personal life?
There's no question that a person has to juggle those three competing interests. I don't believe that there's a such thing as a balance. For example, do you measure balance in terms of time? So is it 30-30-30, or is 10% and 80 and 10 balanced? I believe they have to juggle those three things, and there are times when they have to give themselves totally to their business and their family does suffer. But there are other times, the beauty of being an entrepreneur is an entrepreneur can choose how they want to spend their time.
You've interviewed all of these entrepreneurs. You've received this, at least 400 pieces of advice. Could you summarize what you've heard? Could you share with us 3 points that are preeminent, that every entrepreneur would probably embrace?
Good question. If there was 3 things that I would pick out from those 400 business leaders, number 1, the secret to success. The secret to success, I learned from them, is built on doing little things consistently well over time. The little things over time make the difference. The other thing that I found is most entrepreneurs, not all, but most have other parts to their life that are more important than their business. And most of the time that's their family. So there's no question that component needs to be there. I don't believe that it's necessarily balanced. The third thing that I believe about entrepreneurs is that entrepreneurs pursue what they do not necessarily because of the money. I mean, yes, it's nice to make money and they want to make the money, but that's not the reason they do what they do, because you could make good money steadily at a regular job, at a good job. They pursue what they do because they believe in something that no one else sees or that other people tell them can't be done. And the entrepreneur simply wants to prove that it can be done, and yes, I'm the one to do it. Entrepreneurs take control, they take the responsibility for making things happen.
Would you say that entrepreneurs take a lot of courses, that they keep their ears to the ground, and that they think intuitively?
Several questions there. Entrepreneurs are constant learners. Whether that learning is through taking courses, reading books, listening to tapes. In fact, many of the entrepreneurs I talked to quoted from the books that they have read over the decades or were reading. They talked about motivational speakers that they listen to, that they go to hear. They talk about the other entrepreneurs that they associate and how they learn from them. So entrepreneurs are constantly learning. In fact, the best entrepreneurs are lifelong learners, and for that reason, they also are more helpful to other entrepreneurs. And perhaps that's one of the reasons why they are so willing to talk to me and share with me their secrets.
Can anyone become an entrepreneur?
Anyone? That's a tough question. I believe that there needs to be a spark inside. And sometimes the person isn't ready today to ignite that spark. Sometimes a person has to go work in the corporate world for 10 or 15 or 20 years before that entrepreneurial spark turns into a flame that gets them into their entrepreneurial mode. Not everyone is ready to be an entrepreneur. The amount of responsibility where you have to say, I'm responsible, I'm not complaining anymore. So those who are in complain mode are not ready to be an entrepreneur. Maybe one day the spark might be big enough to be an entrepreneur, but maybe not today.
If you had one piece of advice to somebody who yearns to be an entrepreneur, what would it be?
If you yearn to be an entrepreneur, find the people who are the best at what you want to do and find ways to learn from them. Now, it might be that you could host a radio show like I did, which is a fabulous way to learn, or it might be that you read a book they wrote or read about them or find a way to get close to them to learn from what they do. And maybe you simply follow what they do and think about what they do and ask yourself, why do they do it that way? And then you too can learn from them without being in the same room.
Thank you very much, Mr. Torok, for your excellent advice.
It's my pleasure talking with you today.